Hello, I'm Rebecca Logan, back with another My Favorite 5 pens in a price range. This time it's my favorite 5 fountain pens between $50 and $100 US. I've already done my favorite 5 fountain pens under $50 US. If you want to find that video, I don't have a whole bunch, so there isn't a lot of digging around to find it. It's one of my 4 videos that I've posted up until this one. And today we're going to be looking at just pens from my collection that are my personal favorite in this price range. I have other pens in this price range, some that are more well known than the ones I'm going to show you, but these are my favorites personally to me. So we'll start with a retro 1951 Tornado Ext. Ext means it has this little knurled piece on the top. In the colorway Lincoln, Lincoln like the American penny, so it's copper. Has a decent springy cap, makes a nice noise. The cap, clip, decent springy clip. The cap is quite heavy, so I'm not going to post this pen. It's a cartridge converter. It has a black plastic grip section, so it's quite easy to hold, and this is a fine nib. So this is my favorite, in which I try and write and talk at the same time. My favorite 5 fountain pens between $50 and $100 US. This is the retro 1951 Tornado Ext in Lincoln. A nib is a fine nib, and this clocks in at $60 on Goulet and Jet pens within the last month or two. The ink today, one of my new ones, is Colorverse Brunch Date, which is a very nice color match. So that's the first pen. Next up in value is a $20 jump up to $80. This is an online classic vision in cognac. Online is a German manufacturer that was making fountain pens long before online meant something else. The Vision is made in a number of different lines. There's the Vision Classic, there's the Vision Nature, there's the Vision something else that I can't remember, but this is a classic in cognac. It's got a beautiful brown brushed metal finish with silver colored trim. Just a gorgeous pen. This is another one I don't post because the cap is a bit heavy, but look at the clip. Check that out. Oh, it's so much fun. The clip opens just by pressing on the top of the pen. It's a pull-off cap, snap cap. So this is the online Vision Classic in cognac. This is a medium nib, and it's an $80 pen. The ink today is Robert Oster Cherry Blossom. If you happen to watch my most recent swatching video, you will be seeing a lot of the same inks because I inked up all 5 of these pens with new inks. Nice, satisfying click. Third by price, also clocking in at $80, is this Coloro Duragraph. I bought this pen nearly 5 years ago, and it had a terrible nib. So I ordered a Goulet nib to replace it with, and it wrote much better, but there were problems with the feed. So I ordered a new feed. It wrote much better, but there were still inconsistencies. I was having hard starts, I was having skips, I was having burping. Turned out there was a crack in the housing unit that held the feed and nib. So I, in my frustration, put this pen away for 4 years. It sat for 4 years untouched, unloved. Finally, recently, I realized this is a really pretty pen. I like it. I want to use it. It's not a high value, super high value pen, but I want to use the thing. I like the thing. The thing is pretty. So I ordered an entirely new nib unit for it. And this time the whole nib unit works like a charm. So I have a working Coloro Duragraph in the colorway Amber. Twist off. I don't post this one either. The cap's just a little big. I went from posting everything to posting very little these days. So this is my Coloro Duragraph, which is about to burp. You can see ink coming. So I'm just absorbing that excess ink that was making its way out and peeking out the corner. I don't know if you were able to see that or not, but I could see it from my angle. In Amber. This better not be the beginning of another saga of bad nib. This is a broad nib, and it's a $60 pen plus a $20 nib unit for a grand total of $80. This ink is Ferris wheel press, which I'm not going to write out because it's just so long. Definitely peachy. I may have absorbed too much ink when I blotted. You're seeing some nice shading from that ink. It's an unsaturated ink. So pretty pen, not the best choice of ink, but that's okay. Next up, by price, is an Osprey pen. Osprey is an American company, and this is the Milano in the colorway Rose Quartz. This is a cartridge converter pen with a roller ball on the end of the clip. There is a blind cap on the end, which is completely unnecessary. It just accesses the converter inside. The threads here are so that you can screw post the cap, but about 50% of the time when I go to unscrew the cap, I end up unscrewing the blind cap and ending up with the cap stuck with the blind cap inside it. So I no longer post this pen. The nib is fantastic. This is a broad architect nib. So this is an Osprey Milano in Rose Quartz with a broad architect nib. The pen itself was $70. The nib was $16 for a grand total of $86. So I bought the pen with a medium nib and I picked up a broad architect and a double broad architect at the same time as I bought the pen. Tried the double broad architect. It was just a little too much for me, and I'm satisfied with the plain old broad architect. This ink is by Van Diemen's in Tasmania. And this is from their summer line, and it is Tassie Salmon. Fantastic line variation you get on this, even though this is Cosmo Airlight paper, which I forgot to say earlier. The paper is Cosmo Airlight on a 5mm grid. And last amongst my favorites by value is this Opus 88 Coloro. This is the beige and smoke blue, and it is an eyedropper pen. It's the kind that you undo this piece a little bit. I've already undone this to allow the ink to flow. It's got a mechanism in here that seals off the feed and the ink chamber, so that if you're flying or traveling and changing elevations a lot, the pressure won't cause your pen to leak. I don't know if you can see the ink flushing or sloshing around in here, but it is lovely to watch. And this is Opus 88 Coloro in beige and blue with a medium nib. And this comes in at a value of $93 last time I checked, which was within a month. And this ink is a beautiful match. It's by Califolio, and it is Payne's Gray in English, but Califolio is a French company, so it's Gris de Payne. Please excuse the terrible accent. Size 5 nib, very nice pen. So now the big question is, how do I rate these? Well, we'll start by lining them up in the order in which they were presented here. And how do I feel about them? Well, as much as I adore the Conklin Duragraph, because it's really a pretty pen, the nib problems it gave me, the extra money I had to put into it, because it wasn't just the $20 for a full replacement unit. First there was the $15 for a Goulet nib, the $5 for a new feed. So I've spent $40 to get this running, so it brings it up to a $100 value, but I mean, I took that second feed off, and I took that extra nib off and put a whole new replacement unit in. So this is going to come in at number 5. As pretty as it is, and as nice a nib as this is now, it has given me headaches. So that's number 5. Next up, for this alone, for this stupid blind cap that is completely unnecessary and is threaded so that this gets stuck inside the actual cap. For that piece alone, this comes in at number 4. It would do a whole heck of a lot better if it wasn't for that part of the pen, because I love this nib and I really think the pen is pretty and it's of excellent value. Let's see, what's next? I think this one, because the nib is not the greatest. It's an okay nib, but it's not a spectacular nib. It doesn't wow me. I will be sending it away to Jack Hernandez for work, and he will smooth and tune this nib, and it will probably rise at least 1 or 2 spots on this list once it has been tuned. Then the last two, this is really tough. I'm torn on this. I love this one. I love that I have perfect matching ink, but it's not the one I reach for. The cap is just a little too heavy. It's not the one I reach for. This is one I got very early on in my fountain pen buying experience. I got it at Stylus Fine Pens, Stylus Fine Stationers, Stylus Fine Pens, something like that. At Stylus in Edmonton, which is the nearest city to where I live. And I reach for this all the time. If I have a brown ink, it goes in this pen, as opposed to today's pink ink, which I'm actually enjoying. So yeah, I think that the Online Vision Classic in Cognac is my number one. I mean, just that adorable little clip mechanism alone is awesome. It's a snap cap. It's a nice pen. So that is my favorite 5 fountain pens between $50 and $100 US. Thanks for sticking with me. And I will just bring the page up a little more so that you can have a better view of those inks. There we are. Thank you very much, and have a colorful day.